What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Let me do this real quick. What's going on, people? I'm trying to get this thing to working. I don't know how this gonna work. There you go. Look at that. Go live.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Go live. I'm trying to learn this thing, man. We gonna build our way
Uh-oh.
side of this thing.
Uh-oh. I ain't gonna just say oh the whole time.
Okay, I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I'm on Instagram Live, I'm on Facebook Live, I am on YouTube Live. So let's see. Let's do this. Let's go here. We're gonna start with this first. All right. So, brother man from the other land. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is D'Angelo. This is the Common Damn Sense podcast that we broadcasting on tonight. We got some more stuff coming. Me and my boy Jamin. We'll call him
That's
Jamon.
me.
Jamon, you know
That's
what I'm
me.
saying?
I'm not bald. I got some here.
Now he is a conservative voter that votes liberal.
This is making up stuff.
No, that's what it is, brother.
Okay, that's not.
You're conservative by heart, but you vote liberal. So, we are. This is part of my attempt to re-educate you, right?
Re-educate.
No.
To be clear, I don't think anybody believes in everything from one side or the other. I am actually a independent. I lean heavily, not heavily. I lean more Democrat than conservative. I do believe in the values of family.
But you believe in the values of family, but the left confuses boys from girls. So this is my point. If the foundation be broken, everything else is
on the
wayside. So this is my point. Either way, I just like you, I was brought up in the public school system, right? What?
Okay.
Just like you, I had things I believed, right, until I started learning on my own. And so this is gonna be a great experience, I think, because we're not gonna argue with each other tonight, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna watch videos, right? Or watch a video. We're gonna break it down. And we're gonna discuss the video. Because a lot of things that we think we know, do we really know it? Because what I've grown to learn in my 43 years of living, 99% of the stuff that I thought I knew, that I was raised up with, it turned out to be a lie once I did my own research, right? So this is my attempt to reappeal my guy, right? Well, my guy can't do it right. My guy.
Me, that's me.
Right. Not necessarily red pill, but conservative pill.
I was about to say, come on now, red pill. Come on, man.
Right, because you're red pill on like gender issues, and you're red pill on relationship issues, and you're anti-feminist, right? You're pro what's the word I'm looking for? Patriarchy. Right?
Well, let me say this. First wave feminism was not the problem, right? Equal opportunity is not the problem. When you try to make the outcomes equal, that's the problem. That's the problem with it. What it's becoming now. First wave is fine. Equal opportunity. I'm fine with that.
Well, see, this is where me and you gonna like we've kind of agreed with that before, but I've learned to not even agree with that, because anytime you come up with these movements, right? Feminist, racist, whatever kind of movements you want to come up with, it wasn't coming from a natural place. It was coming from agitation, from a source that was not a freedom source. So this is
the road to hell is paved with good intentions, I guess. So that's something we can argue about on another day on that one. But that's a little fight I'll put up. I won't put up much fight. I'll take that. I won't put up much fight on that because
think about how many powerful women it was before the feminist movement even began.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Right.
Women weren't oppressed. Women have always been taken care of.
Well, yeah, I don't think that when people they were oppressed, I don't agree with that. My thing is like everybody.
No. So
Like,
hold on. If the
like
if women were not oppressed, then why they need feminism? It's all a psyop. It's all of it is a psyop. That's my point.
so so you ain't gonna like one of these what I'm finna tell you now, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna say it anyway. The offender can't tell the offendee what to be offended by. So yes,
But hold on.
to us, you're right. But you can't tell someone who feels the opposite way what they can and cannot be offended by.
But the only people that would be offended was people that were coerced to be offended. So sometimes it takes agitation. Like sometimes you're just naturally not offended by stuff. But the
True.
more and more people talk about that thing and make you feel like you should be offended by it
Mm.
will sway your own cognitive dissonance.
Listen, don't disagree, but at the same time, someone had an issue and they spoke on that issue. They were able to sway other people. Right or
Hold
wrong,
on.
right or
Do you know who's the
of
head of
it,
the
equal
hold on,
opportunity is fair.
hold on. Do you know who's the head of the feminist movement?
You talking about now?
No, like when it first started.
I cannot remember the lady's name, but
No.
uh,
It wasn't even a lady.
it
It
was
was
a
like no. It was a Jewish man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I done dropped my mic. Hold on.
I'm gonna have to see evidence on that.
Can you hear me?
I'm gonna have to see.
Hold
Yeah, I can
on.
hear you. You good? You good?
Unmute yourself.
Oh,
I think I muted you by accident. See if you can unmute yourself. I think I effed
can
up
you hear me?
the mic by accident.
Oh man, first show you done broke something.
Can you hear me?
I
All
can
right.
hear you.
Hold on.
Yeah, now you muted me, and now you
I
unmuted
can
me.
hear you.
Can you hear me now?
What the hell? Hold on. Wait. Oh, I accidentally muted myself. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. I can hear you fine.
There you go. There you go. Right there. There you go.
Okay.
What did you say?
I was talking to him the whole time. I'm pretty sure he ain't hear nothing I said.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is I have to see evidence on that. One
I
thing
would.
about me
Hey, you know
is
what?
one.
I said it right. I wouldn't. We're not supposed to be talking about this tonight, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's
So
right.
I just put that out there. Just like the creator of the NAACP wasn't black people. It was
Here we go.
white Jewish men. So,
So
so this is
let me
my
just say,
point.
I'll end my point with this, and then we can kind of, move on. I'll let you say what you said, and we move on. But this is what I'll end my point with. The one thing about me is only three people on this planet that I will believe without evidence. So if you show me something with evidence, not somebody saying it, that ain't really evidence, because anybody can say anything. I need to see some evidence that what we're
What
talking
kind of
about is
evidence?
factual.
What kind of evidence would you need to see? Because this is some of the problem I have with you. Okay,
Okay, go for it. I already started, y'all. He already
you
ready
want
to fight.
you want a smoking gun, right? And a lot of
Okay.
times, in let's say we're in court, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to have a smoking gun to get a conviction. All you need is enough evidence to convict. You don't have to have a smoking gun. So
Now
this
you
is my
crawling up my tree at this point. Now you crawling up my tree, sir.
I don't give a damn. I'm just telling you. You
Listen,
don't
listen.
like
You have to.
all you need is enough circumstantial evidence
No,
to
no.
convict.
Yes.
Listen. All you need is enough circumstantial evidence is to convict. God damn it! Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I keep dropping this goddamn mic.
So listen, while you fixing the mic, I'm gonna say this. Listen, that's untrue. You need circumstantial evidence, yes, but you need the jury to buy what you're saying. The burden of proof is on the prosecution, not on the defense. All the defense has to prove is there's a possibility
Right. So
that that crime was
if I
not
give you
committed.
if right, if I don't have a smoke gun, but I give you a bunch of circumstantial evidence that proves my
Mm.
point, right? That's enough to sway a
a
jury.
favorable a favorable jury.
Right. That's my
But
point.
but
But
remember we don't do
your problem
outliers.
is you want all the evidence to be smoking guns politically.
Well, It has
politically.
to make sense. It has to make
I,
sense.
I'm very aware of that. So
Okay.
without further ado, we're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
start.
Hey, it's a rabbit hole, bro. We kind of.
Yeah, we're going a bunch of different areas at once. Let me see if I can get on this. Let me see what I
What?
got going
I'm gonna
on.
let me say one more thing. One more thing
Go ahead.
before we get started. Uh, this is an example of people who disagree on some huge things. All right, that can talk
What you're
about
totally
those
wrong
things.
about.
What you say?
What you're totally wrong about. But go ahead.
Well, it doesn't matter. We disagree on some huge things,
Uh-huh.
and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk about it how it's supposed to be done. And
I
we can
agree with
bring up who we can. I'm sure y'all know who he voted for, and just say I'm the opposite of that, and I have my reasons, and he have his reasons.
you. It's only
But
one.
it's we can have a conversation, and that's my guy. So
Yep, yep. Well, I can't see myself. I'm not. Am I not on? Am I
I mean,
not
I see
on?
your whole beard, bro. I see your whole beard. So
I appreciate it. You know, what I'm saying, a little bit. See that wisdom
no,
over there?
I ain't giving you credit. I'm just saying I
See that
see the
wisdom
whole
out there?
beard. That's
See that wisdom? See that
you
wisdom
got
out
a
there?
LeBron James beard going on.
Don't you ever? Don't you ever? Don't
He
you ever?
hate. I forgot you hate LeBrick. I'm not a LeBron
No,
fan,
no.
but come on.
I don't even call him a brick. I call him a bitch. A bitch
Oh
James.
Lord,
He's a bitch. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cuss like that. My kids might see this one day. I'm sorry, sons.
man.
I'm sorry.
I think Facebook or somebody got some guidelines, huh?
Somebody got some goddamn. I just broke them.
Jeez.
I'm
First
trying to.
video.
I'm trying to find. I don't know. I'm trying to find this doggone. Why is it not showing up in my feed though?
Uh-oh.
Maybe I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why I can't see. This is building while we fly. God dang it! But anywho, I'm going to let me close it out. Open back up. We're gonna get started. This is a video. I'm gonna break it down in a few segments. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna do just watch the whole video and then that's it. We're gonna go a little while, then we're gonna talk about it. Go a little while, then we're gonna talk about it. All right. So, uh, without further ado, let's watch this video. You hear you.
Hmm.
Do, 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 do.
We both seem to be from below the Mason and Dixon line.
You
Where are
hear
you
that?
from?
I come from Kentucky, and I can honestly say one of my best friends was a colored girl. And as children have no prejudice, we became very close friends.
Interracial commissions were set up in the South. These commissions were composed of responsible white and Negro leaders in the South. And they were doing a pretty good job. When there was friction between the two groups, they sought to find a solution. They sought to find a solution. And as a result of it, much of the progress that has been made in establishing good relations in the South can be laid at the door of the interracial commission that functioned in the South and enjoyed considerable respect and prestige.
I would not let that determine whether I become friend to them by their color. I have found several colored people that I have enjoyed their friendship.
The South built many new schools,
God dang color.
many of them far superior to
That's why I
those
started
that
laughing.
were attended by white children.
Do the best that you can with your life. You are unique. You have a contribution to make. You have something to offer. Schools had a heavy reinforcement into our characters because they were black schools. Schools were not integrated at that time.
Now, the NAACP has gotten a token number of
Those bad.
Negroes integrated in schools. They consider that a great victory. But I say it's a Pyrrhic victory. What is significant that this whole integration campaign coincided with Russia's stepped-up campaign in Africa and Asia. The races were getting along too well and beginning to solve their problems. Negroes were getting jobs they never held before. Things were getting along pretty smoothly. Now everything is just topsy-turvy.
Hmm. Got my
The
code
Reds
zero.
started all of this integration stuff because they wanted the Negro to unite with the white communists. That was their
Hmm.
objective, not with the other white people, but with the white communists. And as a result, they have destroyed all pride amongst them.
Oh,
I've
no
always
sign.
asked, has integration helped to harm the black community?
Knock the white folks'
Charlemagne?
brains out.
Yeah,
Black
what
folk
is
had 100 times more before social integration hit. We weren't looking for
Hmm.
this social integration. You know why? Because we had our own businesses there. Our own cab companies, we had our own restaurants, we had our own hotels, we had our own school systems. My family was part of one that had the only black bus line in the entire United States. And I say we had a bus line, I'm not talking about 2 or 3 buses. We had over 500 buses.
Wow.
In Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We had that from
Hmm.
1927 up to about 1967.
when hell broke loose?
We owned the buses.
Mhm.
We owned the resource. All of our mechanics were black. All of our drivers were black. Electricians were black. Everything was black. We don't kill our buses.
Right.
Social integration. When all of a sudden y'all start talking about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King going down to Alabama,
Trash.
want to integrate the bus lines. Integrate whose bus lines?
I have always ridden in the back of the bus because I didn't have.
Look at this Albie Shore nigga. I'm sorry.
I was riding in the front of the bus.
Blacks in Winston.
He looked like
we want to ride on front.
Hold on, watch this. Look, that dude that we just saw, the dude that we just saw,
yeah,
he never grew up in poverty. He was an intellectual, telling what niggas to do. You know what I'm saying? Trash.
So he sounds like, what is their pastor's name right now that they hate and want to be preaching about how women dress in the church and everything? What is his name? Not Jennings, is it?
No, that's
Gino.
That's not the
It
same.
sounded like him. I know it ain't the same person. I said, wait a minute, I had to do a double take.
No, that's not the same type of dude.
Okay, clearly not.
But just watch it, goddammit.
Hey, listen, man, I'm okay with what Smith said so far.
He said, well, get some so we can ride on the front of them.
I feel like a complete asshole because I never thought about that.
Of course
Like that
you did.
whole time they did the boycott, they should have been trying to establish their
We need
own
the
bus
government
company
to
as
show- we need
opposed to
the
wanting to
government to
ride.
do
I never thought about that. Y'all boycotted for a year just to want to ride on the front.
See, you're a smart man.
I never thought about that.
They don't want
Now, see, that's
Wait, hold on.
business which exists.
so the boycott wasn't just to ride in the front. The boycott was not to have to give up your seat for another person.
Right, but it all wraps into the same thing. Like what
I get it, but like we're right now, what they're doing is you're correlating everything to one thing. So is it wrong to not want to have to give up your seat to someone? No, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you're talking about just to ride in the front, that don't matter to me, but giving up your seat is a problem.
But the problem is, it's not about giving up the seat. What we used to do, if we got a door closed in front of us, what we used to do as black people, okay,
Just open it.
is create our own doors.
Right.
So that's what naturally happens. If you just leave people alone without getting the government involved in it, they will sort it out. And that's what was happening until the 60s. The black trajectory of wealth income was skyrocketing, right?
Right. Okay.
And it stopped in like 1968 when it got stagnated and then started to dip down. Because why? Okay, you didn't want us to be around X, Y, and Z. So we create our own thing, just like Asians do today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like any other ethnic group that is not naturally from here, they create their own stuff within their own community, and then they build out abroad. And then what happens is, once you become valuable, then everybody else jumps on board. But hold on. I'm gonna keep going. Because I got to the bathroom.
Okay.
I got to the bathroom quick. Go ahead and do that. I'll be right back.
Good.
That should be integrated. They do not want to build anything, and they have nothing to offer to any other group. But they want to force themselves everywhere, and as a result, they create friction.
Our new generation was no longer willing to go slow as our parents were. We turned our backs on legalism. It was too slow. We prefer to use with new energy the classic tools of more active riding and sitting in for freedom, for first-class citizenship. We made sure our voice was heard.
Dr. J.H. Jackson has warned constantly that communists are directing the revolutionary activities of the radical black power element in America.
He says he represents the Negro. He does not represent anybody but himself. He is looking for security. That's what our elders are looking for. But we do not want security.
Many of the students work with Dr. Martin Luther King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
We have utterly pushed aside the old, stymated, adult Negro leadership in the South, and we have organized ourselves into student groups, into student protests, nonviolent protest groups, and we have seen real change in the South within the past year and a half.
It was sort of something that you were caught up in a storm. You know, you walked out one day and the wind was blowing and the rain was coming down and everybody around you was talking about the movement. And whether you wanted to or not, you had to pay attention to it. And I did.
I didn't understand a lot of the whole economic issues. And there was a lot of naivete in it, but it was also a wonderful dream.
Integration was never an issue for me or for many others. But it was the issue that I think separated me from the civil rights movement.
What a lot of people fail to understand about Jim Crow is that what Jim Crow was state mandated segregation. In other words, the state trying to play a role in determining where blacks can go and where whites can go.
I think that forced racial segregation is criminal and unconstitutional. And I think forced racial integration is criminal and unconstitutional. I think either one of them is cruel.
Many people, both black and white, understood, just as Governor Maddox did,
That boy got a head on him, boy.
it is not only volatile, but actually unconstitutional for the government to force segregation, and by the same token, for the government to force integration.
Any effort to force integration upon whites is actually hypocritical. If a white man puts his arm around me voluntarily, that's brotherhood. But if you hold a gun on him and make him embrace me and pretend to be friendly or brotherly toward me, then that's not brotherhood, that's hypocrisy. Right. And what America is trying to do is pass laws to force.
What you got to say, big dog?
So, first of all, let me say I'm more Malcolm than Martin. I ain't doing no turn the other cheek. Second of all, I 100% agree with that.
Right.
Forcing people to do something will never get you the outcome that you want if they want to do it. Like he just said, if I want to put my arm around you and embrace you, that's brotherhood. But if you force me to do it, that's coercion. Like you forcing people to do something will never get you the outcomes you want. So I agree. Forced segregation is bad, but forced integration is deadly.
It's equally bad.
Well, I think forced integration is deadly, not bad. I mean, obviously,
I think it's equally
bad, but I mean, it's worse when you force integration because now you're telling people to forget what you know. Forget you. You need to do this. Be forced into anything.
But both have the same implication. You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So it's equally bad, and it's both of them are anti-constitutional. You know what I'm saying? Because we the people are supposed to control the government, and so once you force the government to make people go into your freaking establishment, you know what I'm saying? Then the power goes from the people to the government. So the civil rights activism gave way for the government to get more power. Instead of letting the market, because understand something about the free market. The free market was leveling all planes, right? Because let's say you didn't want to let me in because you don't like black people, right? Or I don't like black, whatever the case may be. What happens is a store will pop up across the street that allows everybody.
Now you have to compete.
You have to compete, and that's what the free market. That's what capitalism does in its purest form. Right, it makes you have.
Well, Black Wall Street did that; it was destroyed. But I got you.
Right. Okay. First of all, it wasn't destroyed because of capitalism. We're gonna get into that too. Because if you want to get that, we can. But it was also rebuilt, and it was still functioning until 1964.
I'll say this, everybody. Like I promise y'all, we disagree on stuff. There's certain stuff that I just I agree with, but I promise we got some disagreements.
It's certain things that you think you know. Like me too. Like I walked into this thing thinking I knew certain stuff too. And when I'm telling you, the more research and understand that you know, like all the stuff that you think you know is wrong. I promise you. You know what I'm saying? Like literally 99%. I promise 99% of the stuff I thought I knew growing up, and that was taught through school, taught through family, taught through whatever. Once you actually break it down and go through it, it is wrong. And it was like, what the hell?
This man just told me my whole education life is wrong, and that's not true. But we'll see. We'll see.
Because okay, sidebar real quick.
All right.
If the government, okay, education used to be ran by local neighborhoods, and they went to churches, and then it went to like it wasn't mandated by the government, but local people did education.
Well, everybody in different states and cities, they learn something different.
But let me just say this. Once you federalize something, the totality of it becomes diluted, right? And it becomes whatever the government wants you to learn.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So once you, let's for instance, it used to be a point in time where United States had, it wasn't like one currency, right? It should be separate by state, and it wasn't a central bank, right? Once it became centralized, that's when the problem started. You know what I'm saying? So education, federal education wasn't created to make you smart. Federal education was created to make you what's what I'm looking for? Indoctrinated.
I don't agree with that at all.
Okay, well, you're gonna learn today.
I think federal education, in my mind, federal education, as far as what I know, was created to ensure that was supposed to be created to ensure that no child was left behind, and everybody was they could create a scale to show, like who?
Like Obama, no child left behind. Right. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that's. I mean, yeah, he said it, but I mean, it was designed to make sure that
the government don't care about the welfare of your children. The government always care about power, and the more they can interfere in your life, the more important they become. So this is like people educating their kids before the federal government was doing it. That's my point.
No, I mean I understand that, but you talk about the government that make them this great power, but they just people that we put there.
Right.
There's people that we put there. So as individuals, I don't like to talk about it as an all powerful, unstoppable force. Because at any moment, if people decided to be people and use the Constitution and stop being so tribal, then we could take the government as nothing. But we tribal, so we vote for people like Mitch McConnell, 7,500 years in Congress.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being tribal because the new humans are naturally tribal. Humans have been tribal since the inception of man. So there's nothing wrong with being tribal.
And if you... But
the point is, people are always going to break up into cliques or into sects, right? And I mean SEX, I mean SECTS. People are always going to do that. The problem is, especially in this nation, if somebody wants to take more control of the power of governance, right? Mm-hmm. They have to reduce the power of the people, right? You can't have both powerful people and powerful government at the same time. It doesn't work that way.
And how does the government gain power? By convincing the people to hand it over. So again, this is something that I don't 100% disagree with you on. Where I disagree at is it's the same way with our community, with our women, with our men, everything. Accountability. Everybody got to take some. So we keep voting the same people that's 70 and 80 in office instead of Go ahead. What?
You're going off a different tangent right now. That's another conversation for a different day.
All right. We got 7 minutes of this video done, so we probably need to watch the video.
But understand something. Adolf Hitler said, "If you give me the control of the books, I will control the people." That's my point. Like we're the communists in this country want to control your children. And how
So who's doing book burnings? Who does book burnings?
I don't look. That's another subject, bro. Write that down.
Okay.
We can go into that, but let's just finish. Let's go to another piece of the video real quick.
Yeah, let's move. Yeah, come on.
Whites to pretend that they want Negroes into their schools or in their places of employment. Well, this is hypocrisy, and this makes a worse relationship between black and white, rather than if this could be brought about on a voluntary basis.
The NAACP, Martin Luther King, and the Johnson administration collaborated together to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which in their mind would go ahead and force integration anyway. The journalists in the 60s were themselves advocates for social justice. And so naturally, they did everything they can to emphasize and highlight so-called leaders of the civil rights movement.
Segregation to the average Negro means being held back. He's looking for progress. He wants to move forward in the American mainstream. Segregation holds him back.
What they didn't tell you is that there was a vast disconnect between the NAACP and ordinary working class black men on the question of integration.
Up to this present time, it hasn't affected me at all. As far as my work and my social activities, up until this present time, I can say it hasn't affected me.
These are strong-willed, proud men who didn't see their dignity tied up in what white people thought about them or whether or not white people accepted them. King was able to do what Saul Alinsky later writes about in his book Rules for Radicals, where he says the revolutionary organizer must create disenchantment.
Hey, do you know who Saul Alinsky was?
No.
Okay. So definitely you need to learn who that is. He's a
Saul Alinsky?
Saul Alinsky.
Okay.
Saul Alinsky. He wrote the book for it's called Rules for Radicals. Obama, Hillary Clinton, pretty much every freaking Democrat, but those are the major Democrats that were under his leadership, under his tutelage.
And we know that
I
how.
have to pull it up. I'll show you. Matter of fact, Saul Alinsky and Hillary Clinton used to share do speeches at the same time. So
let me ask you a question real quick, because never mind. I don't want to get on that track. Because okay, we'll sidebar it real quick, right? So do you think that the time you spend with someone has an impact on you?
Say that one more time.
The time you spend with someone has an impact on you.
Absolutely.
Could you get something from someone positive, even though that person is negative?
You judge a fruit. You judge a tree by its fruit.
Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I'm asking that is
so if he has negative fruit, then he's going to be a negative.
So the reason why I ask that is because I have friends that I grew up. You hear me?
Yeah. You're kind of delayed. But go ahead.
Okay. The reason why I ask that is because I have friends I grew up with that sell dope, that did horrible things, but they looked out for me in growing up and allowed me to be what I am and who I am. And I also ask that because there was a lot of pictures of a former president with Jeffrey Epstein, but that's neither here nor there. We'll just move on. I just want that.
What in the fuck?
Just saying. Your logic, man. Your logic. I believe that you can be around someone who does a horrible thing.
First of all,
okay.
Number one, we've already discussed with my choice of president He's already kicked this dude out because of the way he was acting in his own hotel. That's what number one. Number two, Bill Clinton has a picture painted by Jeffrey Epstein in a blue dress that was similar to what's the
Monica
girl name?
Lewinsky.
Right. In his hanging up in his New York estate. So we're not going like why this is not about that right now. We could talk about that. But let's just
That's why I said I wasn't gonna say that at first. But come on, let's come on.
You just doing unnecessary stuff.
And discontent. King was obviously able to do that rhetorically with his To America speech, where he painted this picture of Black America, which was completely different than the actual lived experiences that most Black people had at the time.
There are literally two Americas. The American Negro walks the streets daily in search for jobs that do not exist. They find themselves perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity.
This new depiction, in a sense, subjected Black people to what white people were willing to do for them, how white people were willing to vote, what the government was willing to do. In the eyes of the larger society, it made Black people look desperate. It made people feel that Black people's dignity really is tied up in what white people do. This all played a part in emotionalizing people to join the ranks of the civil rights movement.
Some of the liberals and the communists and all of that ilk, along with NAACP leaders, have been demanding more and more federal power. They want to take away all power from the states. And when this sort of thing happens, then we're on the road to dictatorship. And once you have given the federal government that power, it can be used against you. Depends upon who seizes control of the federal government.
I might say, Bill, this is my chief worry, that we have put so much power in the office of the presidency that someday the wrong man could come along.
Joe Biden.
I'm beginning a new effort to fix as much of our immigration system as I can on my own, without Congress.
And I wouldn't be so concerned about whether he could use these powers to perpetuate himself in office, but how he would use these powers to destroy people that disagreed with him.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't Black.
To pile up voters where voters don't usually pile up.
Senator Bernie Sanders said he supported voting rights for felons in prison, including the worst of the worst.
I think Johnson is fully aware of the powers that he has, and he certainly has used them and will use them. We should be constantly encouraging the Congress to go slow, take it easy, study, research. We should be investing private funds of foundations, which are being wasted, in my opinion, too much on things that are not strictly American.
I agree with that. Congress should move slow, but I also think that the president, the power of the president, he has some power, but Congress is, I told you this before, Congress is more powerful. 2/3 of Congress can ratify any bill they want.
They can't stop the executive order, though.
Well, they could by putting a bill in to go against that said order. Joe Biden did an executive order to cancel student debt. They went to the Supreme Court. They deemed it unconstitutional.
And he ignored it. He still dismissed a lot of it.
No, he changed up what he was doing to, he still dismissing that, true, which is fair because.
That's what I'm saying. Stop. You ain't got to go no further. He said it's true. So look, he ignored the.
I guess the rich people who got PPP loans that got forgiven, maybe if they pay theirs.
People got PPP loans. Niggas got PPP loans. Business got it. Like, come on.
Niggas ain't getting millions of dollars in PPP loans.
It was more fraud with PPP loans than legit PPP loans.
I agree.
Okay,
who signed the PPP loan thing?
Trump. I don't agree with that. First of all, I don't agree with. Okay.
You know what? Another day. You're right.
You keep bringing this stuff up, though.
I didn't.
No, you did. I stopped because you were talking.
Yeah, well, I was just saying. The one thing I was trying to say. It doesn't matter. Come on, let's watch the video, man.
All right, man.
We be here all night.
Complex. Even how we understand our history is complex.
Protesters were out today pushing for the removal of a statue at Columbus Park.
This symbol must come down.
When conservatives are trying to stave off the left as they come for George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, their sort of defense will be, well, at that time period, everybody owned slaves, and we're the first country to abolish slavery, and these types of things.
The American Revolution caused people to question slavery. That birthed abolition movements.
I was very offended for him to say that nobody criticized slavery until the slave-holding American founding fathers decided to raise it. Disqualifies 200.
When progressives raise the slave-holding legacy of our founding fathers to conservatives, the conservative response is generally, these are men of their times and they have to be understood as such. But some of the same conservatives will turn around and indict King and say his views are so incompatible with the American founding and our principles that we should reconsider the extent to which we lionize him.
The whole reason that we even lionize or popularize someone like a Martin Luther King, who, by the way, was an all-out Marxist, who didn't believe in God. He said so in his own papers, that he did not believe in the resurrection of the Christ. That's very strange for someone who professes to be a Christian pastor. He didn't write any of his speeches. His dissertation was plagiarized. Those in his inner circle, his speechwriters, were themselves communists. Stanley Levison was a treasurer for a communist front group in New York. Bayard Rustin was a communist. He's the one who taught Martin Luther King the strategy of nonviolence. He was a concoction.
Oh, it's about to get fire. It's about to get hot now. It's about to get hot on your ass, bro.
To me, it's logical.
Nonviolent is communist.
The slave
Okay.
master should be given due deference and have his positions analyzed with a sense of nuance. But the commie is once and for all and forever will be outside of the bounds of any type of respect and honor in terms of our political history. I can certainly more so understand why a Southern Baptist preacher who is maybe 2 generations removed from slavery would be in favor of Marxism than I can the co-founders of BLM in 2016. I'm not saying I agree with King's economic philosophy, but I understand why he would have it.
Well, touche. But the reality is that Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement served in America as a kind of Marxist Trojan horse. From the outside, it appeared to be moderate and pro-American.
This is a gift. We should take it to the temple of Poseidon.
And it's for this reason that America accepted it. But when you look at the results that followed, which were intentional, an expanded government, various socialist policies, a heightened welfare state, the facts reveal that this wasn't ignorance, but malice. They quite literally wanted to Sovietize America. In a 1965 interview, Bettina Aptheker said that the American political landscape is the perfect one for communism because Americans believe that they live in a democracy.
Communist philosophy or socialism easily and has to adapt to the country in which it's taking place. In this country, there will never be socialism unless the overwhelming majority of the American people passionately want it, and want it so badly that they're going to go out and get it. It's one of the things that gets me so excited when I start thinking about the possibilities of socialism in this country. The civil rights movement has already begun to develop a certain program. It is revolutionary, and it is also, I think, much more democratic.
So you can democratize social issues, and you can, in a sense, pull up the heartstrings of America. They will then let their guard down and they will democratize socialism into reality. And so I don't see Martin Luther King fighting against that. I see Martin Luther King as a participant in that, which is a subversive thing.
It seems to me that the civil rights movement must now begin to organize for the guaranteed annual income, begin to organize.
The question.
What do you think about that so far?
Dude said it's to him. Like a lot of stuff is to him. Like, where's your evidence on it? You saying stuff and you taking people that the man know and you basically associate him with them. Like, dude, I know dudes that sell drugs. I never sold drugs in my life. So am I now, because I'm cool with Marcus and Marcus sell dope, I'm a dope seller? Like this, you can't just do that You can't just take who he knows.
He's giving you his own word. Okay, so one of the tenets of Marxism, one of the tenets of Marxism, which what Martin Luther just said was a guarantee.
Universal basic income.
Right. That is a Marxist thing. That is
So
not.
So let me ask you a question. If you take taxes and you stop paying, if you cut taxes in half, is that not a form of giving people back money? Is that not a form of a universal basic income?
No,
Is
because
income tax return, isn't income tax returns a form of basic income? Because no.
Okay. Income tax returns based on how many children you have, that is welfare, which is Marxist. That has nothing to do with though how you work to make money. Like for instance, like a guaranteed universal income, that means you're gonna get this money no matter what you do or if you do nothing.
Right.
That's what.
Isn't that not what a tax cut is? But that's a tax cut. If I give you, hold on. If you pay 37%, I'm just throwing numbers out. 30. Okay, for instance, commission is taxed at 35%. If you pay 35% taxes on commission, right? And now they cut that down to 20% taxes on commission. You instantly develop revenue, i.e., basic income each month, each week, each 2 weeks.
They just steal less from you. That's a taxation to a certain point becomes theft, right?
Okay.
So this is my, but this is you're looking at it from. I'm looking. Okay, back up. Whenever you're working, the more you become valuable, the more money you make in the marketplace, right?
Okay.
So what the government does say, well, the more money you make, the more I'm gonna take from you. That's not capitalism. That is theft. And what they're doing, what Marxism does, is act like Robin Hood. We're gonna take from the well-to-do, we're gonna take from the rich and give to the poor. That's antithetical to freedom, because what that does, that water downs your efforts to give to people that's not as productive as you. That's what that does. That's not the same thing. If you get together, the whole thing. Okay, Marxism and capitalism, two opposite things. Marxism, more government or ultimate government. Capitalism, less government, and let the market decide. Those are two antithetical things.
So I want you to do me a favor, and I can't pull it up now because hold on. Yeah, sorry. But the point I'm making is I want you to post them, not obviously not now, but I want you to post the definition of Marxism, and I can't say it right, but then a definition of capitalism. Capitalism. Because what I'm trying to say is I don't think that helping out the people who can't help themselves is a form of Marxist.
That is because the simple.
Okay, well, post it up there, and we can debate the term itself.
Okay.
And just to say, I'm not beyond convincing. That's not what I'm simply saying. I need to be convinced. I don't need to be told.
Hold on. I want you to understand, right? You're a Christian, right?
Yes, I am.
I'm a Christian. Okay. I'm not saying there are certain people that cannot help themselves because of X, Y, and Z, but those people are far and few between, right? And even in the Bible, when the Bible discusses on who to give welfare to, it's very specific, especially to women. Like the women that's supposed to get welfare, so to speak, right, have a certain criteria, right? And on top of that, it wasn't the government job to do it. My whole point is Marxism removes God and it removes individual rights. It wants the government to be bigger while the individual becomes smaller. but that's not what this country was founded on. You understand what I'm saying? So whenever you have a system where the federal government comes in and say, hey, well, look, I'm gonna take money from you to pay for somebody else, that is not compassion. That is forced to do something that you would or might not would have done. And that's supposed to be local. That's not supposed to be a whole federal situation. You see what I'm saying? Like charity before the government got involved with every aspect of our life, everything was local and ran through the church. You know what I'm saying?
Right, I got you.
And so, and then that's when families were more intact. You had 80-90% of children being born with a mother and father, so they did not need the social net.
The social safety net. So the question I got for you on the Marxism, you feel like it's fair? Capitalism is 100% fair.
First of all, anything that's man-made is not going to be 100%.
Okay, it's fair. Capitalism is fair.
It's not going to be 100%, but it's a lot better way to pull yourself out of poverty than Marxism or socialism. Because
why does the term here's the problem. There's a term, right? You can't make money without spending money. But the problem with that term is you need to have money to spend it to make it.
No, that's not
inherently.
True,
but just, let me finish this. So inherently, people have always said what the Rockefellers, all these rich people run the country and all this and all that, which we know partially to be true, i.e., legalized bribery in forms of donation, right? Donations to political parties, right? So we know that that's legalized bribery. That's just what it is. The problem with that is we say that in one breath, and then in the next breath we say capitalism, is the best way to go. I'm not against capitalism at all, but what I'm saying is I believe that just because a person's perspective is different, and they could be looking at part of something, that doesn't mean that they fully believe all of something. It's like saying it's because you vote for a person that believes that Mexicans are murderers doesn't mean you believe Mexicans are murderers.
What? Okay.
I know that's I know I just use that as an example to say just because you listen to someone don't mean you believe everything they say.
No, right. But my point is we have certain philosophies, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a socialism, Marxism philosophy, which means the government can provide all your needs, right? Or you have a philosophy that means that says you are the captain of your own ship. And you need to figure it out, right? That's what that's the two dynamics. Okay, the more government has, the more government is in control of an individual's life, the worse off they'll be because they have no control to get themselves out of the situation. For instance, you see somebody on food stamps, you see somebody on look at the Indians that's on these reservations. You go to the slums and the hoods or whatever, right? That's government assistance at its best. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
And they're stuck there. They're stuck in poverty. They're stuck in crime. They're stuck in fatherless homes. They're stuck in misery because of the government. If you remove the government, you have an opportunity to make people flourish to who they truly should be. And so that's my point. You have one philosophy that says government is God, and then you have another philosophy that says God is God, and He created you to be the image and the likeness of Him, and you have the power to pull yourself out of whatever situation that you're in with His help. That's the point.
I've never seen anything that said. I do know that there are some leftists a lot that don't believe in God. True, but I just don't like the correlation between socialism and Marxism as if it's the same thing, and it's not.
They're kissing cousins because socialism and Marxism says, "Hey, look, we're gonna make the government control your means of income, control how much money you can make. We're gonna give you a universal income so you can make at least a basic amount."
That's socialism, though. That's socialism.
That's part of Marxism too. All of them on the left.
Marxism only justifies and predicts the emergence of a stateless and classless society without private property.
They're all government based solutions. That's my
No,
point.
but the difference is one puts the power here and the other one puts the power somewhere else.
Where?
It's like
Where? Be specific.
Okay.
Where does it?
I'm gonna tell you.
Where they put the power at?
Marxism only diagnoses the problem. Basically, Marxism just says that because government or because maybe I guess I'm just using examples. The rich have this, then other people are going to have less. Like it doesn't make you. It doesn't say government take care of the people. That's socialism.
No,
so it's like Marxism doesn't tell you, "Hey, government take care of the people."
It does. It makes the government. It makes the government God. That's what I'm trying to do.
I've never read that ever.
You got socialism, right? Socialism. Then you have Marxism,
Right.
which is a step above socialism.
Okay, but I'm saying I've never read anywhere that says that it basically makes the government God.
What have you read that explained to you about socialism?
I'm saying I've never read the point about making the government God.
Right. Okay.
Oh no, I look up the definition.
You Google.
I look up the terms and the meanings of the term.
I'm asking, what have you read that explained to you what socialism was?
Definition of the term and where it came from and what it the definition, what it means. Like that's how you look at it. You can't take words have meaning. You know I feel that words have meaning. You can't take a word and change the meaning of said word to fit a description that we want it to have. Words have meaning. Socialism and Marxism are not the same, but we're using them as if they're the same word.
They are the same. They're kissing cousins. They are related. It's all about government control.
Kissing cousins, isn't that like your fourth or fifth cousin? That's far away. All right.
No, they could be. You can have a kissing cousin. There's a first cousin.
See, I'm from Chicago. We don't have those, so I can't really.
We're gonna get back to the movie.
Let's get back to the movie.
Arises. Well, what other options did he have? Well, for me, I think one of the reasons why there's such a mental block for people is because we've all went to the same schools. We all graduated from the same schools. We all read the same textbooks. You know, we all understand how MLK was this good moral leader who came to, in a sense, deconstruct the way things were. And there was no one else. No one else knew how to do it. But Martin Luther King, here's a guy who got it. And he was a Christian pastor and he was all these things. Much of what we have learned about him turned out to be either false or inaccurate or, you know, a myth or what have you.
Dr. J.H. Jackson, head of the largest Negro church organization in America, the National Baptist Convention USA, with nearly 7 million members, has warned constantly that communists are directing the revolutionary activities of the radical Black Power.
There were other people like Joseph H. Jackson who believed in the fundamental Christian gospel, not the social gospel, not liberation theology, the fundamental Christian gospel, the inerrancy of the scriptures, the resurrection of Christ. Like he believed in those things fundamentally.
What is your feelings toward the new Black theology?
Those of us who are Christians, we don't believe that you can have a theory of God based on color. I don't believe.
When you look at his engagement and civil rights, it wasn't this same brand of civil rights that MLK was pushing, in that we vest certain unconstitutional powers in the federal government, which widens that power and in a sense usurps our rights as Americans. Because, you know, to Bob Woodson's point, we shouldn't have given the federal government the right to force businesses to integrate. Rather, we should have merely taken away the state's right to segregate.
Integration was never our goal. We
I
never
agree.
saw integration as a solution to the problems. We were seeking desegregation. And I think confusion on that point has continued to erode the collective self-confidence of the Black community today. So integration was never an issue for me or for many others, but it was the issue that I think separated me from the civil rights movement.
Both the problem and MLK's solution are unconstitutional, says Bob Woodson, says Barry Goldwater, and many others, even Malcolm X, ironically.
Any effort to force integration upon
Malcolm looks like he pissed.
Actually hypocritical.
Yeah, stop the hell out there, dude.
Involved. If a white man puts his arm around me voluntarily, that's brotherhood. But if you hold a gun on him and make him embrace me and pretend to be friendly or brotherly toward me, then that's not brotherhood, that's hypocrisy.
When I look at someone like a Joseph H. Jackson, he argued that to the extent that the white man doesn't give you a job, it's incumbent upon you to build your own businesses and to hire your brother and your sister and your neighbor, that you aren't begging someone else for a job. And so he didn't only talk about this, but he exemplified this. There were a bunch of sharecroppers in the South who were getting cheated by farmers. Jackson was the president of the National Baptist Convention. The convention bought 400 acres of farmland in the South, and they allowed these black sharecroppers to work the land for free. And to the extent that they raised money for their crops, they got to keep and pocket that money so long as they were saving that money to buy their own farmland, so they can move from sharecroppers to farmers and not have to depend on anybody else for their daily bread. The convention, under the behest of Jackson, did many of these things. Now, the reason why I bring up Jackson.
What did you say?
He gave them free land to till as long as they use the money for themselves to buy their own. I don't understand how that's not socialism. Free land. Isn't that what the complaint is?
He gave it. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I said socialism. Welfare.
A private citizen gave people the right.
Is that not a form?
No, because it don't come from the government. So
the government is okay. So your issue is the government doing it. Anybody else can do it, but not the government. Okay.
Jesus.
That's not a form of welfare.
The point of
because the church it didn't say that he had the church.
It's called charity. So individuals have the right to do their own charity. So what he did was, because he was the leader of this Baptist, the Southern Baptist Convention,
the Baptist community, yeah.
So he was like, "I'm going to help you. I'm going to teach you how to fish, okay,
for free.
I'm going to teach you how
That's
to
not
fish."
capitalism.
That's capitalism. Jesus, man, Joseph. Capitalism is based on individuals doing what they do. Socialism is based on what the government makes you do. It's two different things. That's two different things. He bought all this land, right?
He did not buy it. They bought it, and to say where did their money come from? Donations, i.e., taxes.
No, that's not tax. Taxes are forced and mandatory. Donations are willing. It's two different things.
I'm pretty sure they put pressure on people. Anyway, let's go, because I'm only doing speculation at this point. So now I'm doing the same thing that I believe that you did. Don't rage quit yet.
You retarded. That's all it is.
In comparison to Martin Luther King is because, as you know, Ebenezer Baptist Church was under the umbrella of the National Baptist Convention. Martin Luther King, fresh out of Crozer, very young, very ambitious. He wanted to be the president of the National Baptist Convention. He was overwhelmingly rejected, and it got pretty contentious. Someone was pushed off the stage and died. Someone from Martin Luther King's little ilk pushed this young man off the stage and he died. So it got pretty contentious, and they ended up kicking Martin Luther King and his friends out of the National Baptist Convention. This was before his face was plastered on Time magazine and all the rest of it. So what they decided to do at the suggestion of Stanley Levison was start a new Baptist convention, which would rival the National Baptist Convention. So they started the Progressive National Baptist Convention. Of course, it didn't take off. It didn't do anything. So they started this Southern Leadership Conference, and then they moved from there to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. So the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and its concoction was the result of the fact that Martin Luther King and his campaign was not popular to these Negroes in the South as much as Joseph H. Jackson, who was a continuation of the kinds of things that Booker T. Washington talked about. Martin Luther King wanted to move the National Baptist Convention into a new, more radical, if I can use that word, social gospel, and to get away from the kind of fundamental gospel that Joseph H. Jackson and his ilk was preaching. He failed to do so.
started the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. The advantage that Martin Luther King and his ilk had that Joseph H. Jackson did not have is that once the success of the Montgomery bus boycott took off and all the things, the media basically swarmed around Martin Luther King.
Mhm.
They made him larger than life. Stanley Levison, who was a phenomenal publicist, he's the one who lined up the interviews, who was able to mobilize the media to put cameras in front of the civil rights movement under the behest of Martin Luther King, and the rest is history. And so Joseph H. Jackson was all but erased from these kinds of conversations that we talk about. It always comes down to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
The founding fathers were trying to wrestle away their right to independence, not by way of deception, but by way of laying it all out on the table. They issued a Declaration of Independence, said this is what we do not like about our leadership, about our government, and we are going to go to war to fight for our freedom. Martin Luther King and his ilk didn't so much issue a similar kind of Declaration of Independence. A lot of the things that he did for which he is lionized, if it's true that those things were done as a subversive tactic, is it then fair to compare him to someone like the founding fathers?
As is always the case, whenever I see something that you produce, I'm learning a lot. I wasn't particularly familiar with Joseph H. Jackson, so that'll give me some homework to do. I think the comparison to the founding fathers is fair in that in life, a man's creeds often at various points in his life will not match his deeds. And yes, did the founding fathers struggle with slavery? Sure, to some extent. But I'm not a person that says, oh, we need a new founding, we need new national symbols, because I understand that people are flawed. And I'm not arrogant enough to think that because those men had their moral inconsistencies, that we in our generation don't have our own. I do not agree with lionizing or deifying any person, but I think we should deal with everyone's legacy openly, honestly, and consistently. And that is where I tend to come down on these things. Would a different set of leaders during that era have produced different results? Quite possibly. Yeah, it's quite possible. And I do share your sentiment in terms of the difference between integration and desegregation. But I also know I have the luxury of having that opinion, having never grown up in a segregated, quote unquote, school. Now, to be fair, and I know you're a historian, so you know these things, there are multiple examples across history, even recent history, of despised minority groups flourishing economically in certain countries. But again, when you are a small minority in a country that is openly hostile to you, even if you dominate part of the economy, sometimes that can make the majority even more hostile. So there's a sense in which the law is there to protect you. So net, we benefit from the national correction that he helped sort of institute in terms of passing some of those civil rights laws, voting rights laws, so on and so forth. But the heirs to King's throne, so to speak, particularly the Black preachers and the politicians, and I'd include the pundits, the professors and the performers, the people I call the aristocracy, who think that they are operating his legacy. And you made this point earlier, the ones who see systemic racism and income inequality as bigger sins than sin itself. I think those men and women have, in many respects, squandered the legacy. They have acquired a tremendous amount of political power and political capital. Black folks are in corporate America and in the C-suite and became president and all so on and so forth. But I would argue that these people sort of secured the bag, so to speak, but fumbled the ball. And I think the people who tried to copy him have made, in many respects, things worse in the Black community.
Respectfully, I don't believe that these individuals, the William Barbers, the Jesse Jacksons, the Al Sharptons, and others, the liberation theologians, as you put it, I don't believe that they are a deviation from MLK, nor do I believe that they hijacked MLK or try to, in a sense, merely mimic MLK. I think that they are a continuation of MLK. And had MLK not been assassinated, he would have been doing the same things that Jesse Jackson and others were doing. The reason I can say that definitively is because you see him doing that prior to his having been assassinated, where he was going into these towns and basically, like, the whole nonviolent thing is so brilliant. It's just so brilliant because you build these kind of situations in these moments and you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to ensue. You do all of this knowing that the threat at the end of all of it is a riot, an all-out riot. And you can then use that as political fodder.
A riot is the language of the unheard. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention.
The whole point of nonviolence is you get people into the streets, you don't pull permits so that the traffic can be regulated and the noise can be controlled and all the things. You have these unlawful marches, and to the extent that the sheriff's department shows up and tries to remove you, if you aren't being compliant, you're continuing marching, then they have to necessarily remove you by force. And not only that, but a lot of these individuals who were a part of the marches weren't themselves Southerners. These were freedom riders and others who were coming down from the north and being agitative. When you look at what Jesse Jackson was doing in the 90s, where they were going to these predominantly white corporations that were situated in predominantly white areas, and they were saying that they were discriminating because they don't have enough black employees. Again, these same kind of shakedown tactics that MLK was doing, so too was Jesse doing in the 90s. And so I don't know that MLK would have been displeased with what his proverbial sons were doing, because he was doing the same exact things. And not only that, philosophically, ideologically, he aligned with where these people are for that reason. I don't know. I think we have enough evidence to say definitively where MLK would have landed.
I do.
Let's think about that.
Interesting. Obviously, I'm gonna agree with the guy on the left with the glasses. Or both of them got glasses with the beard, rather. More so than the other guy. He makes a very good point, and he says it very intellectually. But I think it's always reached to say that people change, and then say, "Well, he wouldn't have." And I don't agree with what he's saying about him being, 100% with what he's saying about MLK anyway. But to say that if he wouldn't have got shot, if he wouldn't have died, he would have been doing exactly what Jesse Jackson was doing. I just can't agree with that, because most people didn't even agree with Jesse Jackson. And I know the video started trying to show that most people didn't agree with.
What you feel to realize is most people didn't agree with Martin Luther King back in that.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. So I understand. I get that point. But then he started talking about permits for marches and stuff like that. Well, there's evidence that they couldn't get permits for marches. So how do you square that circle?
What do you mean?
Well, they couldn't get permits. So, like, if you can't get permits, so just don't do it. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I would never have been in a march for that. If I knew
where
somebody was going to attack me.
Where did you get the information from?
What that there was permit? Just look it up.
They couldn't get no. You made that allegation. So I'm saying, where did you get that from? About them not being able to pull permits?
I'm looking it up.
You
can look it up and see that there are times where they were.
No, we don't get to do that. You said the opposite. So now you have to provide proof of that.
Okay. I didn't know that this was going to be that. So of course I won't have no proof, but
right. I got. We can say it for another day. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Just write that down. Just make sure that you get the evidence that he couldn't pull.
I'm already writing it down in my phone.
There you go. All right.
Do want to address the point that you made, right? And this is here's my sort of overarching response. It's that, we may think that based on a person's trajectory, we have a sense of where they would land. And oftentimes that's the best that you can do. But I often remind myself, like Eldridge Cleaver, who I think started off as the Minister of Information for the Black Panther Party, when he died in 1998, he was a conservative Republican who was a part of the Church of Latter-day Saints, right? So it's not to say that a person can't change their perspective over time, because many do. Thomas Sowell is famous for saying that he used to be a Marxist, and then one summer working at the Department of Labor sort of did what classes with Milton Friedman could not do, which is to make him drop his Marxist leanings. Well, Justice Thomas said, that he I don't know if he was officially part of the Black Panthers, but he certainly was sympathetic to their ideology. So
yeah, that's true.
And then the other thing I'm just, and this is sort of a cultural thing, and not to be take it with a grain of salt, but the show the Boondocks, which probably could not be made nowadays, when they had the MLK episode and Dr. King, all right, was resurrected from the dead.
Yeah.
Oh no.
He was very critical of things that he saw in the Black community.
he using the Boondocks.
What happened to our people?
Yeah, but this was a cartoon.
True, but what I'm saying is it's a cartoon, and they could have written his character in any number of different ways. They could have made him permed out Al Sharpton clone, but they didn't. It's hard to say where a person would end up.
Exactly.
We're talking about someone who's assassinated in his late 30s, I want to say 39, where he would have ended up at 60 years old. Because people do mature. Oftentimes they become more conservative with age. They would get to see how their ideas ended up being used and what the results were. I find it hard to believe that Dr. King thought to himself, and one day the guys that come after me, they are going to make sure that pregnant men have access to reproductive health care. I find that very, very hard to believe. Now,
I agree.
Maybe gay rights stuff, given that Bayard Rustin was one of his closest advisors, maybe. But even that, at that time, would have been something along the lines of gay men mimicking the sort of bourgeoisie, suburban values, being able to get a job at NBC and buy a house with their partner, roommate, that type of thing, and pass on property. That I highly doubt, even in Bayard Rustin's wildest dreams, that he was thinking, look, the first Black president is going to be in office when gay marriage is made legal in the United States. And soon after that is going to come transgenderism and a drag queen.
Nobody could have saw that shit coming.
I find that hard to believe. And that's what the guys today are pushing. So what I'm saying is I want to hold them responsible for their own beliefs, for their worldview, for their position. And to the extent that they are trading on, I don't want to say trading on King's legacy, because I get the point you're making. I think what they're doing is extending King's legacy by saying, this is the new civil rights battle of the day. Trans issues. All things LGBT, all things pride. These are the new civil rights issues of the day. Gays and lesbians are the new oppressed group in America.
The new victim.
And we, as the NAACP, are going to do what we've always done, which is stand up for the marginalized and oppressed. And we're going to continue that rich legacy. I think that's more what it is. And it is that a continuation of what Dr. King started? Sure. I think it's fair to put some of that there. But these people are also embracing things that no one could have envisioned in the 19th.
Facts. The fallen state. All right.
That was it, dog.
Okay, so listen, very informative video. I won't say it changed my perspective, but it did add some. No, but let's be fair. Let's be fair. I'm being fair. Be fair. But it did add some information to what I thought and I believe. I ain't gonna say feel because I don't do feel, but what I thought and what I believe, it did add to it. Did it make me kind of shout out? Okay, yeah, of course. But it's like what this guy said. I don't think that he would have been even I couldn't even imagine him down for some of the stuff today, just because of how far out no one thought it could get. So yeah, you even if what he did was was a mistake, and he made mistakes. Let's say he did. But you don't know that it's a mistake until it's a mistake.
No, it wasn't a mistake though.
What I'm saying is you could never have known the outcome would be what it is.
He deceived the people, pretending like he was a Christian pastor when he did not believe by his own writings. But
I needed to see when those writings was written, when that was written. I needed to see evidence of.
I already sent it to you. I'll send that to you.
Okay. But my point is, just based on this video, good read, good conversation. And if you want to get black people to listen, a good idea is to put two black people and have two opposing views and have them talking to each other. I.e. this. But
I want you to keep in mind, both of those guys are conservative.
Yeah. But I have no problem with them. Yeah, I just was telling
what I'm saying is we've all been duped by this MLK. Call it.
What part of it is a dupe though?
All of it.
No, what I'm saying is his dream. His dream.
Feminism.
No, hold on. Let's just put what he said in. Let's put him. His dream was that. That didn't have to be my dream, your dream. That was his dream. His policies. But hold on.
A Marxist wrote that dream speech.
I don't care who wrote it. That was his dream or whoever. No, why should I?
Because
why should I?
It was built. Okay, if I'm the devil, right? Hypothetically speaking.
Okay.
If I'm the devil, if I come to you with red and with horns and with freaking a tail, right? You're gonna be scared of me.
No, because the average person would be, yeah. Jeez. I fear nothing but losing the use of my legs. But the average person would, yes.
Jesus, man, jokes.
They can't help you.
The devil, okay, let's back up. If the devil presented himself as who he was,
right,
would run from him.
Yeah,
correct. So
correct.
The devil has to be deceptive. He cannot come out as who he is. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my point. The point of that speech was to mix in some of the stuff that people really believe in.
Well,
but the outcome of it is not what it appeared to be.
I got you. I got you. But here's the thing. If people feel like he did good, right, and they celebrate the things that they assume are good, then telling them that, well, he really believed this on a slate. Well, it doesn't matter because they only care. He's only celebrated for the things that people believe that he did that was good. Listen, how many hold on. How many Republican presidents? Hold on. How many conservative presidents have it been since Dr. King?
Ronald Reagan, one of my favorite presidents, signed his day into legislation. Like,
exactly. Why though? Why?
Because you can't really. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know for certain because I wasn't there. Right.
For sure now.
Right. It's just my opinion that he's been lionized to a certain point to where you can't say anything negative about Martin Luther King.
Okay, so, even if that's the point, go ahead.
So if you look at the result of Civil Rights Act of 1964, what has happened? Increased federal control, the devastation of the black family, the devastation of the economic prosperity that we were starting to achieve.
Here's because people still have to make decisions, right? You still make the decision. I'm going to tell you what I mean. When you're a person and you make a decision to either A, leave the person you with, B, separate from your partner, take the kids, whatever, you chose that, right? So you can't. The devastation of black family is on the black people. We allowed that to happen. It went from it took a village to raise a child, and we allow people to think that you don't need a village anymore to raise a child. That's on us. The people have to assume responsibility. I don't care what law government
agree. I don't agree with the village need to raise a child. But let's back up.
Okay.
The Civil Rights Act went from it demoralized the people because it went from a can-do people, like, you don't want me here, I'm gonna create a business to do this. If you don't want me here, I'm gonna create my own doors. To like the Civil Rights was targeted the younger people. It wasn't targeting the older people. Right? So it targeted the younger people, and the younger people was like, well, I'm not gonna do what my dad and my granddaddy did. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to force the government to do something for me. That was
so.
too
Where were
different.
the dad? Where were the dad, the granddad, and the mom while they were doing that?
You know, the 1965 was all rebellion. Like 1960s, everything was rebellion against the.
I get it. So
that's my point. Like if you rebel, if you have a group of people that's rebelling, they have a reason why they're rebelling. Why they're rebelling? Because they have black leaders saying, "Hey, look, you can get it faster like this versus doing it the right way, which is going to be a little bit slower."
I can't blame a leader. Because retards decide to follow them. Like I can't blame I'm not blaming a leader because retards decided to follow them.
Right, but okay,
I'm not.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is, at least admit the leader was garbage.
No, you admit the leader made mistakes. Well, yeah, if the leader's garbage, you admit that. But you admit when people make but you can admit when people make mistakes. The problem again is the person decided to follow that leader. If that leader leads you to hell, if what was it? Jim Jones, right? All the people jumped the Kool-Aid and they kept drinking it, knowing that they was dying. Right? Jim Jones just talked. They decided to do that.
Let me ask you a question. You ready for this question?
Go ahead.
Satan was able to deceive a third of all the angels that was in heaven, directly looking at God. Directly looking at God.
Right.
So you think deception would have an effect on man from another man?
Who did God punish for that?
Question.
You said, do I think deception would be
right? My question was, if Satan himself can lure 1/3 of all God's angels into hell through deception, what do you think he could do to man, especially having to have about 6,000 years of experience looking and watching man?
I will say this. I agree. I'm about to answer the question. Yeah, it's going to be easier for him to manipulate man than it was to manipulate the angels.
Right. So this
especially those who because man has free will. So it's easier to take. No, you said don't got it. I think it does because when you're not.
I said angels have free will too.
Oh, well, not okay. That's another conversation for another day. But the point that I'm going to make is, if I flip that and say, who got punished for those angels doing what they did?
What do you mean?
Those angels, they were punished.
Yeah,
they were punished for the decisions that they made. That's all I'm saying. Is we taking it and putting it on, whether he was right or wrong doesn't matter. The people that decided to follow that legacy.
He was a deceiver the same way the devil was a deceiver.
It doesn't matter. Adam and Eve were punished. Adam and Eve got. Listen, God didn't come in and say, "Well, since the devil tricked y'all, I'm gonna let y'all stay." No, he said, "No." Punished. Right. So what I'm simply saying is, whether we want to say that
we're punished for being deceived.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, I don't blame a leader for trying to do what they thought was right. I blame the people who determined.
This is the point I'm trying to
get. So he knew he was doing evil. So you saying Dr. King?
He knew what he was doing.
So you saying Dr. King knew that what he was doing was evil?
Absolutely.
Because basically what this video said. Come on, bro.
He was a Marxist. Listen, he was.
Whether you're a Marxist or not, Karl Marx knew what he was talking about was not good.
You ever heard of W.E. I can't talk right now. W.E. D or B Du Bois. You ever heard of him?
Yeah, W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois.
Right, that dude. He was a Marxist too, but he came up with Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Both of those guys came out of slavery. W.E.B. Du Bois.
Du Bois.
Right, he came from a wealthy family, right?
Yeah.
Who never suffered a day in slavery, right?
Okay.
And he was a communist as well. The men that came out of slavery told black people, hey, look, this is what you need to do to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Booker T. Washington started his own school, right? With the hard work and vigor, right? Built it brick by brick, literally. We went from that mentality to, hey, government, what can you do for us? That is not, that's not on accident. And the reason why we went from having 80+% of children born in a marriage, in a family, to the opposite. 80% of all kids born out of wedlock. That is not an accident, my nigga.
So tell me where Dr. King preached that women should, that the black family needs to be separated, because he talked about the black family not
He got an award from the Planned Parenthood.
I know you talked about
right. He got that, and he was saying he would appreciate the work that they did. What work did they do? Kill our babies.
Listen, I don't have any information on that, so I can't speak to the Planned Parenthood award that you talk about, because I told you that. But what I'm simply saying is, but listen, that still doesn't separate the point of him saying, hey, we need to ruin all black families, or that he was out to destroy the black community secretly.
But look what
happened. So but an outcome, hold on. But listen, again, an outcome can't be predicted. I mean, it can be predicted, but it can't be guaranteed. Excuse me. That's what I want to say. An outcome can't be guaranteed. So to say that this man, I got you, but listen, to say that this dude literally was out to ruin the black family, even if what he did caused it, I'm not even saying what he did caused it. What I'm saying is, even if that was the goal, I mean, if that was the goal for him to come out and ruin black families, where is the evidence of that?
What?
Where is the evidence of him intentionally trying to ruin the black family?
Implement Marxism into the community. That's what he did.
But that does not. But Marxism doesn't say anything about destroying families.
Marxism guarantees it tears up families. That's his goal. His goal from take the sovereignty from the individual to the family, and take and faith in God, and takes it away. And it puts it in the hands of the government. That's what Marxism, socialism, all it does. That's all it does. That's what it does. That's the purpose of it.
I hear that's what you're saying. That's what it does. But you can't.
Du Bois was a communist. He did the same thing.
Listen, you can't put that on one person or the other without knowing for sure that's what they wanted.
The civil rights movement in itself was ran by Marxists. Controlled by Marx, just like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was controlled not by the three gay women, them gray fat black women. It was controlled by white people.
Brother, listen to what I'm telling you. Where is the evidence of this man trying to ruin black families? That's what I'm saying.
We got it in our hands.
Okay, it's happened, yes, because of what he did, but you can't say that the man intentionally was like, I need to fuck these families up.
Oh my goodness gracious God. If
the outcome, what happened? Listen,
if I go take a test and I fail the test, right? That's what I did.
That's what you did, but did you go in with the intent to fail the test?
If I didn't study, yes.
But you see that all the if was a fifth, we all be fucked up. The point is, you can't say that this man intentionally went to do that. It doesn't matter what we know that it did, but there's no way to know that. Oh,
okay.
See, we have to, take your phone.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay. I'm about to. We have to.
That's fine. We could reconvene another day, right?
Yeah, we got to reconvene on this one.
But let me just.
I'm writing down some stuff. I got it. Okay. Go ahead.
Question. if I'm a deceiver,
Mhm.
why am I deceiving you? Because his whole
Because
platform.
one, it's a multitude of reasons why.
Okay, but if I got something good for you, I don't have to deceive you to give it to you. Correct?
Not necessarily true, because no, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. If you got something good for someone, you may have to. If you got medicine, okay, let's take your kid. Your kid don't want to take the medicine. The medicine will help them. You have to trick that kid into taking that medicine. Or how about let's go to animals? Dogs don't just take medication. You have to sometimes stick it in cheese or meat for them to eat the medication. So yes, you don't all. It's you have to trick sometimes, even for the betterment of people. But we gonna have to reconvene on it.
My question is, if I
4%, I'm about to lose you.
Okay, well, quick question before we go.
Okay, go ahead.
Why would I deceive somebody saying I'm a Christian pastor when I don't even believe in Christ?
Well, that's some research I got to do before I can even speak on that.
No, like
right.
That is purposeful.
3%.
That is purposeful.
Okay, but I would have to research that to figure out. Right, I have to research that.
I've sent you the paper. I already sent you.
You sent me a paper of someone.
I sent you what he wrote, bro.
Saying it. I'm going to look it up and see if the evidence is the carbon dating, all that. I got to see all that to believe that. I don't believe what anyone just says to me. I got 2% though, bro. We got to go.
He wrote it in his own discipline.
I got 2%, man.
Bye.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. We gonna have this fun.
Bye.
This was fun.
Bye.
Knowledgeable, but yeah.
Bye.
Hey, man, you can't do that if I agree with you.
Bye. Good night.